If I could have your attention here in the Media Center, we'll continue on with today's Monster Energy NASCAR Cup Series media availability. And we're joined by none other than Chase Elliott, driver of the number 24 Hooters Chevrolet for Hendrick Motorsports. A lot going on here for Chase this weekend. You know, he's fresh off a trip to New York City. He comes in here bringing Hooters back into the sport. You have that Chase Wins, You Win program with Hooters24.com. You're wearing a pair of shoes that commemorates your dad's record-setting pole run here 30 years ago. And it's your third Chase U event of the season. Where do you find the time, my friend?
Yeah, it's been a busy week for sure. Excited about all the programs we have going on. Really cool with having Hooters on the car this weekend. Happy to have them back. I think it's a great thing for our team for sure, but I think just the sport in general. Hooters has such a great history within racing, not just in the NASCAR world, but you know, I have a lot of respect for them and their sponsorship of the Pro Cup Series when they had it going on, kind of going back to the short track world, and when they were showing their support there, which I think is really cool. So happy to have them on board. Excited for the program. If we win on Sunday, everybody gets a free appetizer at Hooters, which is pretty cool. And if we finish 2nd through 5th, I think everybody gets a free Mountain Dew. So great opportunity for us and everybody else, so hopefully we can do that.
Okay, we're going to open the floor up for questions. If you have a question for Chase, please raise your hand. We'll get a wireless mic to you. We'll start here with Bob and then go to Chase.
Bob Conquerus, ESPN. Most of the recent restrictor plate races have been won by veterans, guys who have more than 100 starts. We know you have fast cars, and a lot of the young guys do, but how come, why does experience seem to matter so much, and who are you taking the most mental notes from?
Good question. I know I can count on you for the stats today. No, I don't know. I mean, I look at the way our car drove at Daytona, the speed that it had in it. You know, I was really pleased with that. And you know, if it was a Daytona 497, I think we'd have been all right. So I've been really happy with our Speedway program in particular. I feel like we've made it better, really. I thought the 500 this year was our best performance on a plate track. So I hope we can bring some of that here. I don't know why those guys win. I mean, it's a good question, but I have no idea. I can't say that I'm going to do my job any differently because the guys with a lot of starts have won the past number of races. I mean, I think Brad and Joey seem to have won a lot of them over the past few years, and they've done a good job of mastering plate racing. And I think there's always something you can look at and learn from guys like that who have won a lot of these things here recently. But in the long-term history, I don't know why that is.
We're going to go to your left here to Chase, then to Lee, then to Dustin.
Chase Elliott, FoxSports.com. So as you know, NASCAR declared Joey Logano's win Encumbered last week. He loses playoff points, but he keeps the win. What are your thoughts on the Encumbered win rule?
I'm still trying to figure out what Encumbered means. So I'm not real sure, but I'm not involved with their team. I don't know what they had going on. I find it hard to believe that, whatever they had going on made him win the race. I mean, we ran 13th or about 13th to 15th the majority of the day, and Joey was right in front of me the majority of the day. So he wasn't. I didn't think he was as good as Brad was, but they did a great job. His crew chief making the right calls and him getting up on the wheel at the end to win. If whatever they had going on helped him, I'd be surprised. I mean, yeah, it is big, but at the same time, I mean, Joey's fast every week, and he's one of those guys that can win any weekend. So I'm sure he's going to have plenty more opportunities to win before we get to Richmond.
Okay, we'll go next to Lee.
Lee Spencer, Motorsport.com. Your dad won Most Popular Driver 16 times. What advice did he give you as far as reaching out to the fans and establishing that bond?
Yeah, he's. I think with him, he had such a great connection to just your everyday group around the Southeast, and from what he came from, not having a whole lot, to how he and his family went about racing. I think that was a connection that people had with him, and they could jump on board because they were just a bunch of guys from the hills of North Georgia that happened to show up and compete and ended up being really good at it. And they did it their own way. They didn't ask for anybody else's help. They did it their own deal. So it's definitely a different world. I've been very lucky to grow up in the house that I live in with my dad and his family and my mom and the racing history there. So I'll be the first one to tell you I'm very lucky and have had great opportunities because of that. I still think you have to do the job that is at hand behind the wheel to stay here and to be around. But I think from a fan's perspective, just one thing he kind of has always talked about is, you may show up to events and you might have some folks that don't care to be there or some folks that do care to be there. But if there's just one person there that you could change their day and, make their day worth coming for or getting up for, then our job is good. At the end of the day, I think we've done our part. So all it takes is one person, and I agree with that. I think if you can change one person's day for the better, I think it's all worth it.
Going to go to the middle to Dustin and then to Claire.
Dustin Long, NBC Sports. A couple things. Chase, you've led laps at plate tracks before, but obviously had another good run at Daytona. What did running up at the front, how did that help you progress, and what did you kind of learn, kind of carry forward? And secondly, if you can talk about the shoes and kind of why the shoes and where they came from and the story behind that, please.
Yeah, no, like I said before, I thought the 500 this year was our best performance at a plate track for sure. Just the more time I think you spend racing, we got to race in the Clash this year, which was just more time on track. Got to race in the in the 150s, which is more time on track, which I think just never hurts. So anytime you can get around those guys that win these things a lot, I think it's helpful. And as time has gone on, I've had some good opportunities to race around those guys and hopefully pick up on some things here and there, and also try to learn things for yourself kind of in your own way, and you can file away and hopefully have one up on them at some point down the road is the end goal. So hopefully we can progress and turn our run, do what we did at Daytona and just try to make it a little better at the end of the day. But as far as the shoes go, really excited about them. I would take them off and show you, but that'd take me a minute to get them off. I posted a picture on my Instagram if anybody's interested in looking at them, but just really cool. It was 30 years ago this weekend. Dad ran 212 here in that old Coors car, which I think is really, really cool. That car, he still has a few of his Coors cars in the shop, and I always think it's pretty neat to look at them and see how they were built, what they put into them, and just how simple everything was. It was just that they just tried to simplify things as best they could. They were kind of in their own box with having the spoiler laid back as far as it could possibly go, and like he says, they just didn't know any better, so they did it their own way and did really good at it. So I think it's really cool and a great part of racing history in general. And obviously, I'm a little biased because it's my dad.
Go to the right to Claire, and then we'll go to Rick.
Claire B. Lang, Sirius XM NASCAR Radio. You were talking about your dad and how they just went and raced it their way. Do you feel, and I think maybe it's a really cool thing, the pressure of the sport on your shoulders right now? Those guys, when they were young, didn't think about, exemplifying a new generation. They just went out and did it. Do you feel like you're kind of carrying the sport as a young driver, and is that exciting to you?
I can't say that I do, really. I mean, I think in a lot of ways, Dad, like I was saying about them and the way they went about their race, and I feel like I've tried to apply that to my racing and not so much worrying about everybody else. And, when we would go a short track race or legend car race, we made it a point to show up and park as far away from everybody else as we could, just because we didn't care what they were doing and we didn't want to be involved with what they had going on and all the cliques and the groups and all the mess that goes on in the garage area. It's like a high school some weeks. So, I think in a lot of ways just staying away from that stuff is great, and I try to apply that to my racing, be me. I want fans to follow it for sure. I'd love to have their support, but it's their choice. If it's genuine, I think it's great. That's my only request. I want it to be genuine for whoever they want to pull for, whether it's me, great. If it's somebody else, great. But, find that connection you have with somebody, make it genuine, make it something you want to be a part of. And that's what racing's all about, is finding your guy. So whoever it is, great.
You don't feel a responsibility or the feel that you need to
I just feel the responsibility to do my job, you know, and try to go fast and, you know, try to give ourselves chances to win races, and hopefully the rest of it will take care of itself.
Okay, we're going to stay on the right to go to Rick and then to Caleb.
Rick Miller, Atlanta Constitution. Chase, would you, give an opportunity, would you drive that 212 car around here wide open today?
I don't know that I could handle it, but I would definitely try for sure. I'd love to give it a shot, but I don't know that I would have what it takes to hold her wide open. I mean, that's not easy, you know, back then. Those things, you know, they laid the spoiler back. I remember, you know, Dad telling me stories, you know, they basically just kept leaning it back until he just couldn't take it anymore. And that was how they figured out when to stop. So he just kept pushing the limit till he couldn't drive it, which is pretty cool, really. Would it be unsafe? It would probably be less safe than what we have in our cars today with the seats and everything, but it'd still be really cool, in my opinion, regardless.
Okay, we'll go to Caleb.
Caleb Whistler, Speedway Digest. How would you assess your season through the first quarter?
I think we've had some ups and downs. I feel like we fired off really well with the way we ran at Daytona and Atlanta. I thought our West Coast swing was pretty strong. I feel like over the past few weeks we haven't really performed up to our potential as a group. I think anybody in our group would feel the same way. We've had some fast cars at times. We've had our car driving good. Other weeks not so much. But we definitely need to execute races. You know, even on the days that your car is not driving like you want it to be. You know, that execution and doing everything correctly on pit road, restarts. You know, given the right information can turn a bad day into a pretty good day. Really, you know, you could have like last week, for instance. You know, we ran not very good, and you know, just inside 15th, not quite inside the top 10 the majority of the day, and we got towards the end of the day, we had an opportunity to finish up and well inside the top 10 if we had just executed a little bit better. So that's what we need to do, and we know we need to do that, and we'll try to make that happen.
Any additional questions for Chase? Right here on the left.
Chase, Joe Goodman with AL.com. So you were 7 years old when Dale Earnhardt Jr. was first voted most popular driver. He's won 14 in a row. How do you think the sport is going to change, and how are drivers going to have to change when he leaves the sport?
Well, he's won 14 now, right? So I still think it's pretty cool. Dad has 16, so he's not going to beat that, which I think is pretty cool. I'm biased, but you know, I don't know. I think you know, Dale's been a great ambassador for our sport, and I have a lot of respect for him in a lot of different ways. But he definitely, you know, going through all the things he's gone through, and to still be the person that he is today, it'd be so easy to go off down a bad path, I think, in his situation when going through the things he went through and having the opportunities he had. It'd be easy to not treat people right or do things wrong. So I commend him for his efforts there and doing things the right way over the years from when he started all the way to now. And I think he's a better person now than he's ever been. And I think every day, you know, that just continues to get better. You see all the things he does with his community and everything else. So whether you're Dale racing cars, Tom Brady playing football, LeBron playing basketball, nobody can play or race forever. So at some point it's going to change. It's part of life. And luckily for the fans of our sport, there's a lot of young guys that have a lot of talent that are coming up that are not just racing in Cup right now, but are in the Xfinity Series, trucks, and even a lot more guys that are racing in the short track world that unfortunately will probably never ever get a chance, that deserve it way more than a lot of people here that could be here doing just as good of a job, if not better, than anybody else. So a lot of people to pull for, and there's no reason why we can't, you know, find people to pull for as a fan moving forward, because there's a lot of great people to choose from.
Any additional questions for Chase? Chase, thanks for taking the time to join us, and good luck this weekend.
All right, thank you.
Back in the day, I don't